Salve, mi chiamo Nelson Leite Sá e è per me un grande piacere essere qui per questo secondo simposio di sicurezza sul lavoro. Now speaking English, I will have the pleasure to present this speech, this lecture about safety and decent work in non-standard work, namely for the entertainment industry. And my first reflection about this is how can we morally entertain people that is expectably to have more higher income on society without guaranteeing that non-standard workers or for instance workers that are in backstage don't have the dignity and fair income regardless their gender, capability or even the origin. This is the question that we all should be wondering at this symposium in order to get possible answers to provide an agenda for better work and a more sustainable and attractive industry of entertainment. This industry is probably one of the industries that is changing more in the recent years, and eventually one of the ones that were more hit by the recent pandemics. Thus, the business model needs to readapt and seek more integrative and resilient answers for the upcoming challenges. It would be important to remember an old influencer, Robert Owen, a Welsh textile manufacturer, philanthropist, and a social reformer, and also a founder of utopian socialism, which in 1817 have launched a movement for decent work based in 3 8s: 8 hours for work, 8 hours for recreation, 8 hours for rest. This is astonishing. And this was a reivindication from the 19th century. Only just recently, we got France approving, for instance, the right to disconnect, and it was in 2017, followed by some other countries in Europe that towards this dignity of work. However, what would be important to highlight from the movement launched by Robert Owen in UK in 1817 were the waves of influence of this movement to seek dignity in other countries, namely in the US, where on the 1st of May of 1886, a peaceful rally in support of workers striking for an 8-hour workday ended in a massacre either for police officers as well as for the workers. This day was kept in the memory and is generally considered the International Workers' Day, held on the 1st of May in most of the countries. Once again, a vision, a utopia, might generate a well-being for thousands with a great impact in the society and in the economies. In a time of great changes, where climate change is one of the biggest challenges that we must face in the modernity, and where, according to International Labour Organization, ILO, the future of work is that nearly all countries which are sustainable from the point of view of the environment have very high rates of working poverty, which means that we might face some forced migrations due to the climate disasters, or also because of people seeking for better and fair income as well as social security. Taking this in consideration, the dynamics of our industry of entertainment and the need of temporary workers at this sector, it is very likely that we will continue to observe a great demand of migrant workers. These workers are seeking better income conditions, but firstly, they are looking forward for social security models that are mature in a well-established economies, where they might have health assistance and a human-based approach at the workplaces, where the social, legal and economical drivers enhances higher health and safety standards. Obviously, after the settlement of these workers anchored in their hard work, as for instance, as we saw in the past in some of the other well-developed economies from migrant countries who were forced to depart from their countries as they were facing a terrible war, for instance, Europe, and those workers were seeking peace and new opportunities. In the same way, these new migrant workers, they will bring their own relatives, their women will be included in their new social networks that will be generated. As a better we can integrate these communities and provide fair, decent, and safe jobs for those women, we will naturally integrate these migrant communities in the social standards of our countries and our communities, and not create, for instance, any kind of disruption, for instance, in the birth rates of the society, because women will have the same dignity and opportunities as men. Moreover, we also know that previous development models suggest that moving these people out of poverty necessitates an increase in the ecological footprint. But this will result in environmental degradation that is also likely to destroy jobs and incomes, with impact most felt among particular groups: migrants forced from their home by climate disasters, indigenous and tribal peoples, people with disabilities, or even the poor. In some cases, environmental degradation may also aggravate gender inequality. The future of work and society must therefore entail an environmental, sustainable development path. The promotion of economic growth and decent work can be achieved in parallel, not at the expense of the environment and the natural resources, based the support of economic activity and livelihoods. The Sustainable Development Goals articulate this challenge, highlighting how in the medium and long term, decent work is only possible in the context of environmental sustainability and also social justice. I hope this humble contribution might help the discussion and provide some of further ideas for an inclusive and sustainable future in the industry of entertainment. Grazie mille per l'attenzione. Salve.